Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? It's your boy Soto here. You know what it is. Raiders versus the world. Talk about the team that the world loves to hate, your Las Vegas Raiders. Well, the power struggle may or may not be real, but the inconsistencies are very real. We have one side saying one thing, one side saying another. When you put them together, they don't match up, okay? You have Chip Kelly saying, well, we run more when we're ahead, and, it's got to be in the flow of the offense, and we want to run, but it's just not very effective doing it. And then Pete Carroll's like, we need to be more balanced. That means we need to run no matter what. And it just doesn't really fit with what's happening on the field, because when you look at the field, yeah, Pete Carroll was upset against the Commanders. We started off throwing the ball and not really running the ball, and didn't move the ball that well our first drive, and just a lot of, it's all disjointed. There's a lot of things happening. Then you throw Brennan Carroll. Then you throw Brennan Carroll into the mix. He's Pete Carroll's son, and the offensive line is the worst part, the worst group of this team. And clearly, the offensive line is the worst part of the team, okay? One thing that could help what's happening right now is just winning ball games. Winning is the best cologne, and it needs to be a really good one, because this offensive line freaking stinks, okay? We had Mark Schlereth, we had him say how bad this offensive line was, and that's embarrassing, man. When you got a guy that does the game, is in the production meeting, watches the game, announces the game, and then come on Rich Eisen show afterwards to say how bad we were. He didn't even remember Alex Kappa and DJ Glaze's names. He's like, yeah, the right side, the right guard and right tackle, they were awful. Man, this is bad. This is really bad. And it needs to come down to, what are we going to do with the mantra that we had from the very beginning, the compete mantra? Where did that go? So you're telling me the worst run blocking offensive line in the NFL by a lot, there's no one better. There's no better configuration. The players aren't better. There's no other guys that we can get in there to try and to see it's just not, it's not working. It doesn't look good. And I'm really interested in seeing what the steps are to get better. Are we just going to keep rolling the same guys out there to see if they can get any better? That's just idiotic, in my opinion. I'm a big Pete Carroll fan, man. You guys know I pumped up Pete Carroll from the very beginning, but this does not sound like a Pete Carroll coach team. Him forcing things and forcing them and forcing them and pushing them down our throat and forcing it. It doesn't seem like that's him. I don't understand what's happening right now. And if that is his decision, it's a terrible one. We're going to take a look at the press conference that happened today we're going to take a look at the press conference that happened yesterday from Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, and Ashton Genty. And we're going to see what they have to say. First, we're going to start with Pete Carroll.
Hit it.
Pete, you had mentioned fitting the offensive line. I think on Monday it was. Last year, the Raiders finished with Jordan Meredith at left guard, Dylan Parham was at right guard, and Jackson was at center. Would you consider maybe going back to something like that? Is that
Absolutely
what you're
talking? No, we've invested a lot of time with these guys playing in their spots. I know you're interested in JPJ. This is an official week to practice and to get ready. Last week was not that. So he's ready to compete for the playing time, and he and Alex will be going at it. So it's a good situation in that regard.
What? Now he's saying, wait a second. From the very beginning, I've been hearing compete. Now we're not even going to compete anymore. We have the one of the worst, if not the worst offensive, at least worst performing offensive lines in the NFL. You're good. We just got to get better. What? You're not even entertaining the fact that we can switch guys around to make a better configuration? And then, this week, JPJ is back. This week, he's back. Wait, didn't you say he was 100% ready to go last week? Something's not right, man. Something's fishy. There's something else going on here. It just doesn't make sense. And when what you're hearing and what you're seeing don't line up, there's something that's not being said, because the truth comes out on the field. Jackson Powers Johnson, if he was ready to go by Pete Carroll's own words in his press conference last week, and he didn't play, there's something else going on. If he's not even going to try to configure this line a different way, there's something else going on, because that's not competition. That's not competing. That's just throwing the same thing out there and hoping it gets better. Normally, I don't stop these press conferences, but that just threw me for a loop. What are we talking? What's happening here? All right, here's the rest of it.
When you say competing for playing time,
Jackson didn't hit anybody in 2 weeks. We got to see what he can do. So we got to check him out and see how he does.
Where's Bowers from a health standpoint with his knee?
He's been making it. You know, they've treated him well and got him to play in these games. He's still wearing a legitimate brace that he can feel, but he'll continue for another couple weeks having to wear that brace to be safe.
He said he was frustrated after last game. Is it tough when guys maybe can't do what their bodies usually tell them they can do?
Yeah, that's a very difficult thing. Yeah, it's very difficult. Yes.
Any update on Michael Mayer, how he's doing?
He's still in the protocol. He's got the procedure that he has to go through. It'll take us all the way to the end of the week to know.
Pete, any thoughts on the matchup with Caleb Williams this week? Was he a guy you watched a lot at USC when you had time?
Sure. No, yeah, I did watch him a lot, and watched him a lot looking at that job too. And had a chance to check him out. And he's a very, very special athlete, and he's got great sense, great awareness about throwing the football and running the football. He'll be a prolific scrambler, and by the time we check out his years, he's really good at it and throws really well on the run too. So they have a really nice system. You can see it already coming through. Coach Ben's doing a nice job with teaching these guys, what he believes is important on offense. You can see that there's a lot of changes from when they were last year. So Caleb can do whatever you want him to do. So he's a very dangerous player to play against.
We've got an emerging young receiver too, and Roma Dunze. What challenges is he going to possess for you guys?
Yeah, he's a good player. Now, we watched him college too. So I've seen him a lot. They're going to him. He's leading target guy, and they'll continue to do that, I would think. He can do a little bit of everything. He's really fast. He's good size. He's tough. He's making the plays. So, we know where he is. We have to be really conscious that we can take care of him.
What stands out to you about the way Ben Johnson was about creating space for those guys? There's a lot of it in the game against Dallas.
They had a very good game last week. They really did. They looked terrific in the game. Got ahead and jumped out early and maintained that lead. Ben's setting the tone for the concepts that people are doing, or maybe he's learning from everybody else. But there's a lot of similarities in the style of offense that are coming around now, and it's a prolific attack when you're really trying to get the ball down the field as much as teams are doing right now, and he's right in the middle of all that.
Back to the offensive line, do you feel it's more reps and continuity as opposed to maybe identifying an issue here, issue there that you can put your finger on?
Yes. Yes. Sorry.
We saw Darian take over for Caillou down the stretch in the last game. I guess how did you see him on film? What did he do? And is that a switch that you're looking to make going forward?
He did fine. He had a couple good tackles that he made. He situated himself well in all of his looks and coverages. He's made a couple tackles on special teams too, so that was one of the things we wanted to see what he would look like. So he did a nice job, and so I'm not hesitant to play him at all.
Just what have been your impressions of Eric Stokes through 3 games?
Shoot, I think he's played great football. I think he's been our top guy out there. He's challenged everything when he had his opportunities, and he's got his wins. He's been really clean with his hands. There's nothing that he can't do. I think he can really blossom into a terrific football player for us, and we're lucky we got him.
Also, too, Ashton Genty's been hit at or behind the line of scrimmage on more than 50% of his carries this season. When you look at film, what has led to that? Is that more offensive line?
Yeah, we have to get him better spacing, and we got to get him away from all those guys in the middle. So it's the whole attack. We've just got to continue to expand it. And keep him from getting hit, because he's the first one to look for hits too. He wants to hit the first thing that moves. He's tougher as hell, but we got to get him cleaner. So we're all working together to get that done.
Talk about the special teams quite a bit after the game on Sunday. I guess what kind of things can you do to challenge a group that's been very good here for you guys in the past?
Yeah, that was a really surprising ball game. Because we've been solid for all the way through Tom's years and all of that. That was a game that those 2 carries just got away from us and made a huge difference in the game. One was a 90 and the other was an 80-yarder or something like that. I mean, you never plan on having to deal with that factor unless it's on our side. So everybody's working really hard. They're taking into account the things that they have to do and do better. We have to play better as a whole group. We just a couple guys got out of lanes on coverage, and it really exploded. And our safety guys, couldn't get them on the ground. I give I'm going to do this again because I love the way this guy coaches, but I'm giving Larry Izzo a lot of credit. He put together a great game plan, and his guys executed really well. And obviously, they really had their way with us.
What do you think the key is to getting a Tyree Wilson and a Malcolm Kuntz kind of unlocked moving forward? And how important is it?
Well, it's really important that our guys play better, and so we're trying with our combinations and mixing our looks and all of that. Malcolm has been pretty lively in his pass rush with a couple of results last week and 2 weeks ago, and we'll get him back into it. We're continuing to move the rotations. It's still a work in progress, and that we're learning who's who and what they can do best, and that may last a couple more weeks of us trying to figure that out. We need to get to it. I mean, I would love to have it nailed right now, but with the background that we've had, and this is still in progress. But the part I like about it is these guys are competing really hard for their play time and their spots, and as long as they maintain that kind of approach, then they'll keep elevating their game, and it'll be obvious what we should do. I'm sure this is going to be a real zinger right here.
There's only won 2 home games last year. It's only the 5th year that the Raiders are playing at Allegiant Stadium in front of fans. What's the mentality like of the team just trying to create this home field advantage?
Well, we're trying to create the advantage wherever we go, wherever we play, but we certainly could utilize, winning here and getting our fans really jacked and allow them to be a factor. The noise factor is always something that you can count on when you get it going. So we have to play well. Obviously in the past they haven't. They haven't played well enough to get their wins, but we can't let that be. That was then, and this is now. We got to crank it up and see if we can get one this weekend and keep building from there. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. I don't know. You didn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Something is not right. Something just doesn't make sense. And the lack of an answer is an answer. Okay. When Pete Carroll is asked, hey, half of Ashton Genty's carries, he's getting hit in the backfield. How do you fix that? He's like, well, we just got to get more spacing, better spacing. Basically, we have to block better. Well, that's not an answer. That's a response, but it's not an answer. There's a difference. You're responding to a question, but are you answering the question? He really didn't answer the question. This is starting to become very worrisome for me because it sounds like there are no answers. It sounds like there is nothing we could do. It sounds like this is what we're doing because this is what we feel is best, and our best is one of the league's worst blocking teams again. What did we do in the offseason to address the offensive line? We signed a guy who came off his worst season. I understand that you're not going to hit on every free agent. I get it. But in hindsight, this Alex Kappa signing looks god-awful. He is terrible. You draft a couple of guys in the 3rd round, one guy with just a supreme amount of experience in college and a guy who was, and another guy was an FBS player. Now, he was a very good FBS player. He was a mauler. He was a monster. But, I mean, you're spinning your wheels trying to get these guys ready to play. But are they getting closer? Like, what's the difference here? Like, what's the game plan here? And I don't see. Now, look, I understand that Pete Carroll can't come out and say, well, you know what? We're just looking for Caleb Rogers and for Charles Grant to get a little bit more seasoning on them, a little bit more ready before we put them into game action, and then we'll be, ready to rock. Because the guys that are already there, they're like, well, what about us? We're just going to play until you just replace us? Well, guess what? Your play right now, whoever they end up replacing, if they do replace anyone on the offensive line, isn't very solid. It's not something that's going to be, a big calling card of, hey, you know what? I'm not going to get my job taken away. I'm doing really good. No, the entire offensive line, except for Colton Miller, is doing pretty bad. And it's including Jordan Meredith. It's just, it's very troublesome. Not only the answers, but just the lack of a plan that the answers lead you to. And I'm very concerned about it. It's all very concerning. But what also is concerning is not being able to get any action when you really want it. That's why whenever I'm looking for action, I choose MyBookie. MyBookie is the best, man. That's the only app that I use. It's the only place that I go for action. Last week, I bet the over on the Raiders at Commanders. Over under was 43.5, and we got way past that thanks to the Commanders. They almost got it there by themselves, and I cashed in. On top of that, there's casino games, a lot of good parlays you can do on MyBookie. They're the only app that I use. They're a big sponsor of ours, and if you guys want to support the show, you want to support me, support our sponsors, man. Go to MyBookie. They're offering a bet back bonus. The bet back bonus, basically, when you sign up and use the promo code SOTO, that's SOTO, my last name. You use the promo code SOTO when you sign up and at least $50 up to $500. MyBookie is going to match that in a bet back bonus. You can use that bet back bonus to get some action. And if you win, you get the winnings. And if you don't win, guess what happens? Just it goes away. It wasn't your real money. It was the bet back money. Who else is going to give you that deal? I don't think anybody, because that's what MyBookie's doing for Raiders versus the World. If you use the promo code SOTO, use that and make sure that you're over 21. On top of that, make sure MyBookie's available in your area. And if you have a little bit of an issue, go ahead and talk to somebody, because this is for entertainment purposes only. As far as being entertaining, the fourth quarter was pretty entertaining for Geno Smith with 2 touchdowns, but we need to get those first 3 quarters under control, because, man, Caleb Williams is not going to stop. Ben Johnson is not going to stop. We need to score some points on Sunday. Let's hear what Geno Smith had to say.
You've had different receivers step up at different times. How valuable is that, having more than just 1 or 2 guys to go to?
Yeah, it was very valuable. I think we have a bunch of options and a bunch of guys that can get open and make plays. The key for us is to always get the ball into the hands of the right guy, depending on what the defense shows us. So I'm very impressed with just how our guys are responding and making plays out there.
Looked like you guys had a big effort in this training camp to get the ball Trey Tucker, and obviously we saw the results on Sunday. How do you feel about that relationship continuing to grow?
Yeah, I think our relationship is growing. As I've said all along, I really think highly of Trey. I think he can do a lot of great things. Obviously, we're all about winning here, and so statistics and all that, like, it's an afterthought. But I thought he had a really good game. I thought he played tough throughout the game, and really gave us a shot to move the chains and get some points. But like I said, man, we got to do a better job all around.
Said after the game he's somewhat frustrated with his body and everything that's happening. When you're an athlete at your level, like, how difficult is when your body doesn't react to how it usually does, and can you see that from him, a little frustration? How difficult is that as an athlete?
I haven't seen any frustration from him. I think if he does have frustration, I think it's internal, and he's done a good job of keeping it internal. Obviously, he's toughing through some things, and he's playing really well, I think. He's still moving the same as from what I can see, and really we just got to get him the ball. We got to find ways to get him the ball and get him more involved so he can really feel good about what he's doing. He's playing the same as I've seen. I haven't talked to him about any of that, so I haven't heard any of that. But I think, like I said, I think very highly of Brock. I think he's best tight end in the league, and it's my job to get him the ball and make sure that he is on point.
Is it difficult when you're an athlete at your level, when your body doesn't respond because you want to do something so badly?
Anytime you're not performing to your maximum capabilities, I think you're going to always try to find it. You're going to try to find that and try to seek it. But to me, like I said, from what I've seen, I think he's doing a great job, and I think we just all have to do a better job of keeping him involved, getting him involved, and then obviously doing a better job as a whole.
What have you thought of Ashton Genty's learning curve in the NFL and how he's progressing through that?
I think he's right where he needs to be, man. I think, like, we have to help him. It's my job to help him. Like, I hate that, obviously, he's going to put a lot of pressure on himself, but he's not out there alone. It's 10 other guys out there that got to do their jobs and help him. And so, I take great responsibility in making sure that Ashton is, first of all, in the right headspace, which he is, and also, he's got the ability to go out there and make plays. And so I got to make checks, put him in position to go out there and make plays. I got to do a better job to make sure that, he's out there showing us what he can do, because when he gets in the open field, man, he's hard to stop. So we just got to get him into some more space and allow him to do his thing.
As a leader of the team, how do you make sure that all the guys in the locker room don't get frustrated by a loss like you saw on Sunday, and stay in the right headspace and go forward? Yeah,
I think we have great leadership in this locker room. I think we have a great coaching staff and a bunch of guys that are, like, really just focused on getting better every single day. And I think if you take that, your approach to it, if you just focus on getting better, you block out the outside noise, you don't think about expectations because that could be to your detriment, you have a shot to, do some great things. I think for everyone in this locker room, we're just focusing on this next game and how can we get better today in practice, first of all, and then go into the next game with the right, mindset, execute our game plan, the way that we know how, and, get this thing done.
Geno, what are you seeing on camera from the Bears?
Yeah, really, really stout defense, man. Really tough up front. 6'5" guys across the board on their D-line. Mike linebacker with Tremaine Edmonds, who I think is a great player. I think he's one of the best middle linebackers in the game. They got great corners, safeties. Kevin Byard, a guy who's, been perennial All-Pro, has made a lot of plays in his career. And they're extremely smart. They play hard, NFL defense. Another chance for us to go out there and prove ourselves. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jason.
I mean, some pretty direct questions, man. How do you keep this team together? How do you see Ashton Genty handling things with his body language and stuff like that? This is when you want a veteran at a quarterback who not only is producing on the field, but also can keep these guys in line and know how to talk to these guys. This is not an easy patch right now. This is a very pivotal game. 2-2 is a lot different than 1-3, especially when you're kind of figuring things out. This is what good teams do. Good teams, when they're going through a transition, they figure out a way to win games and to get, stack numbers on the win column. Even if the games are pretty ugly, they just figure it out, right? So this is when I think it's a very winnable game. Now, the Bears are an explosive team. They have an explosive offense. Their defense has some players on there. They got some guys that can move. And, they're a team that beat us with a third-string quarterback a couple of years ago. So we have to take them serious. And what I'm looking into for this game is how does Geno Smith start the game off? Do we start the game off with a more balanced attack? Is he being, is he being a little bit more conservative? Is he still letting the ball rip? Is he making smart choices? Is he allowing outside negative forces to really kind of bog him down? When we were in the red zone last week and we had a penalty, he just kind of fell apart. And we need to have our leader in the offense, Geno Smith. We need to have him right, and we need to have him there mentally to be able to help bring everyone else up too. It's a big responsibility for him on the field, but I think it's one he can handle. He's definitely a guy that has the players' respect and definitely has the respect of the opposing team. We need to go out there and just be solid. You don't have to be great. You don't have to, be a world beater. Just be solid. Don't make any dumb mistakes and take advantage of opportunities when they're given to you. Geno Smith's this is gonna be a big leadership gut check for him in this game. All right. Ashton Genty's been talked about pretty much for the last few weeks because of his production or lack thereof. When you take a look at the numbers, it's not his fault. There's nothing he can do. He's averaging -2 yards before contact. On half of his runs, he's being contacted behind the line of scrimmage. This is something that needs to change in order for him to not only progress in his stats, but also progress mentally to be able to give him a chance to be successful. He's been working really hard, just like everyone else has. You have to see a little bit of success, a little taste of success to keep driving you, to keep pushing you, moving forward. And it's not going to be easy against this Bears front, but we have to figure out a way to get it done. Let's see what Ashton Genty had to say in his press conference. How do
you feel like everything has been progressing? Obviously, you're doing a lot of heavy lifting, trying to get some yardage, but you're out there getting reps and experience.
Yeah, I think it's progressing well. We're right where we need to be. I mean, we're going to continue to get better. We've gotten better, and it starts with me. Like, I got to continue to get better on my reads and everything and, really get things going.
There's a statistic out there, Ashton, that you've dealt with the most contact to get your yards at literally 101%. Have you seen these stats, and how do you think you've performed despite that?
I mean, I've heard people saying it, but I'm not really paying attention to it. But I think regardless, no matter of the fact, I think I've been doing a good job, but there's a lot of room for improvement, and, that will continue to happen.
You start that progression and continuing that, especially with like the mental space. We were talking with Geno about sometimes it takes like just having that mental space to be able to progress. How do you see that working with your progression in the NFL?
It's a mindset to me. It's like, you can either look at the negative all the time and, what you did wrong and, just take it as, you're not good enough, you can't make these plays. Or you can look at it as a learning lesson of like, hey, I made these mistakes, but I can learn from these and, be better. That rule of like, don't make the same mistake twice. So just taking that responsibility and initiative to, get better and improve.
How does it help you to have a veteran like Geno to be able to speak with and work with through some of these things?
It helps a lot. I mean, Geno, he's a great leader. He's been playing at a high level and, he's bringing us all along, whether it's, mentally or, through the X's and O's. So it's great to have somebody like that.
Probably doesn't blitz a ton, but what have you seen from them defensively in terms of how they try and attack you guys offensively in the passing game?
Yeah, I mean, they're an aggressive, tackling team. They got a lot of great guys on the defense. I think they do a good job in the passing game, but I definitely think, us and with what we've been doing, the guys we got at receiver, we can definitely take advantage.
Through 3 career games in the NFL, what has the adjustment been like when it comes to pass protection?
I'd say just recognizing, what's happening quicker, you know what I'm saying? And so that, when the ball snaps, you know exactly who you got. There's no hesitation, because guys are coming off that ball quick. But at the same time, the ball does get out a lot quicker. But, yeah, I think just recognizing, executing it, and then guys a little more physical, you could say. But I just think it just comes down to fundamentals and details, and technique.
What does it mean for you when you get to lower your shoulder and hit someone? Because you're a physical running back. You're not that finesse dude. You're that physical dude.
I mean, setting the tone. That's what it is. Like, the style of playing and the identity of us as a team. Like, we're gonna be a physical football team, and I feel like it starts with me in the run game. Setting that tone, and then throughout the course of the game, guys aren't gonna want to tackle you if you bring that, and then that's when you set it up to be able to make guys miss.
And obviously it comes with the territory, being a prominent player in the league. But did you see Ryan Clark's comments on ESPN at all?
Nah, I haven't seen anything. Don't really care what anybody has to say about me anyways, so it's cool.
We were talking about veterans and leadership. I mean, you have a guy like Raheem Mostert in the locker room. Like, what does that relationship do to help you grow?
Yeah, it's a great relationship. Obviously, he's been in the league for a long time. He's done it at a high level, led the league in, touchdowns, rush touchdowns at some point. So that's a guy I'm definitely listening to, taking notes from, whether it's on the field or off the field. I got a ton of respect for him.
Without giving too much away, is there any piece of advice that he's given you that you could share with us?
I feel like I've been asked this before, but I think from him it's just like, bro, play free, have confidence in yourself, and then so you can stay on the field, make sure you take care of your body.
Speaking of taking care of your body, Chip Kelly was talking about load management and being able to keep you fresh throughout an entire season. What were your thoughts on that? And just obviously going into a fourth quarter and not feeling like your body's taking a toll.
Yeah, I mean, whatever the coaches, the guys leading us think is best for us and the team, I'm all for it. Doesn't matter, so I'm willing to do whatever it takes for the team to win, and it feels good, I'll say, to be, fresh coming into the fourth quarter, definitely.
That drive where you guys tied it at 10, you kind of got some lanes and were opening things up a bit there. What stood out to you just about what you guys did on that drive that maybe could be glimpses for what the offense could be?
I mean, I made the right reads. O-line, came off the ball, made great blocks, and then I think, staying out, being efficient on first and second down, right? So we stayed all those third and longs. I think that will really help us moving forward because we got into a lot of those situations last game.
How's it for you learning the offensive line, learning how their style of blocking, and also them learning you?
Yeah, I mean, it's an everyday thing of, building chemistry, and it doesn't happen overnight. So it's continuing to communicate with them and them communicating, me telling them what I see and them telling them, them telling me what they see, and that's only going to make us better as a team.
You know, there were some mock drafts out there that had you pegged to the Bears. That was one of the more popular spots for you. I mean, is there any kind of added motivation, just kind of like, you know, you didn't end up lasting until the Bears, but just, you know, having that mentality?
I mean, I wouldn't say any extra. I mean, I'm ready to play football, man. Ready to go dominate whoever it is.
All right, thanks, Ashton.
Thank you.
Oh boy, here we go again. Ryan Clark just can't keep his foot out of his mouth. All right. So on First Take, Ryan Clark said a couple things about Ashton Genty. And if you didn't hear, this is what he said. He said, to me, Ashton Genty doesn't have that pop, doesn't have that thing that makes him different. What's Ashton Genty's it factor? Because when you got it, and it pops. All right. This is a guy who just looks at stats. I don't know how much tape he breaks down on offenses. I'm sure he watches some tape, but when he's talking about the Raiders and Ashton Genty, I don't know how deep he gets into these stats. I don't know that he understands how poor the offensive line is blocking for him, and I don't think he understands what Ashton Genty has to go through just to get to the line of scrimmage. Now, he also, they looked at the comparison between Ashton Genty and Daniel Tomlinson. Daniel Tomlinson put his foot in the ground, and he was so far away from you on the next step, the explosion, the lateral quickness, it was different. I didn't see that from Ashton Genty. I didn't see that from him at Boise State. He also went on to say that Ashton Genty really wasn't that good in college. He just beat up on a bunch of lower-level college teams, he said. Ashton Genty is playing at Boise State. He's getting a ton of carries, and young men get tired of hitting him. You think Derwin James is going to get tired of hitting him? You think these linebackers in the league are going to get tired of hitting him? Basically saying that the college players that were playing against Ashton Genty at Boise State were giving up because Ashton Genty was beating him up too bad. Now, as far as the draft process go, Ryan Clark went even further. He said, I don't think this is a load management thing. I think this is a production thing. This is in response to Pete Carroll saying that you're easing him in slowly. It's a pop thing. Genty was hiding with his lack of athleticism by not working out at the combine and skipping drills at his pro day. To me, I think you get into training camp and you realize this might not have been the pick. I don't know, man. Everyone who was saying anything about Ashton Genty in camp was saying that he was popping, he was moving, he was hitting holes hard, and he was doing everything he needed to do to be a productive member of this team. And everything showed. He's big, he's strong, he's built, he's low to the ground with his balance, and he's explosive. We heard all these things about Ashton Genty. I think Ryan Clark is just trying to make points to make his argument stronger, but the points are a little bit hollow. Look, when you don't perform, people are going to try to find a way to make it because of another reason, to make it something bigger than it is. The issue with Ashton Genty, and to combat Ryan Clark, the guys at PFF said the exact same thing. Mark Schlerers said the exact same thing. Ashton Genty is going to be fine. You need to get him some better blocking. But when you get him good blocking, he's getting 6-7 yards a carry. When you don't, half of his carries are behind the line of scrimmage, is getting hit. It's pretty tough, man. It's pretty tough to be successful that way. So Ryan Clark, again, stuck his foot in his mouth. This guy, I don't know what he's trying to do with his stupid little RC pin on his chest and just trying to wear a tighter suit every single show. This dude just a clown. I'm not paying any attention to him. That's good that Ashton Genty isn't paying any attention to Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark, to me, is just kind of an idiot, and he can be just, thrown to the side. I don't take anything he says with any type of seriousness or any type of weight, because all he wants to do is be the Stephen A. Smith light, be another Stephen A. Smith saying preposterous things that don't have a lot of merit. On top of that, there's only one way we can stop all this nonsense, all this infighting, all this nonsense coming from Pete Carroll in his press conferences, all this nonsense from guys like Ryan Clark and all these other idiots out there and all these other talking heads. Start winning games. You start winning games, you start playing better, all that stuff goes away, and it needs to happen right now. 2-2 is a good way to start the season for as bad as we've been playing. If we can start this season 2-2 for as bad as we looked at a couple of these games, we're in a pretty decent spot because now it's the push to really put all that information that you're gathering from training camp, from preseason, from the first four games, the first quarter of the season. Now it's time to put that into play and really see it on the field. So this is going to be a pretty big win for us, I think. And it's going to be more of a mental win than anything. All right, guys. All right, guys, that's my time for today. Really appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe to this video. It's the next way to support the channel. It's absolutely free. And it's the bare minimum you can do to support the channel besides doing nothing, just watching the video. On top of that, we have the Shield Society. Shield Society is a membership. It's only $5 a month. What happens is you get the videos right away, so you don't have to wait for them to be scheduled and released. As soon as I upload them, they're yours to watch. Also, you get the watch party with me, get my analysis, my takes, my venting, my everything, my celebrations, all that stuff live watching the games with you. On top of that, you have the opportunity as a Shield Society member to jump on the broadcast yourself and be a part of the action. Now, who else is going to give you that? All right, guys. All right. So I need you to do one thing for me, guys. Please tell your friends, tell your haters, tell your mamas, tell everybody. Raiders versus the world is the greatest thing going in Raider Nation today. All right, guys, that's my time. Till next time, everybody. Peace.